The book A Technique for Producing Ideas, written in the 1940s by James Webb Young, is a must-read book, especially if you're in a phase where you need to come up with business ideas so you can generate multiple sources of income consistently. He lays out the 5 essential steps to produce creative ideas. What's amazing about these 5 techniques for producing ideas is that it's still relevant in today's era. At the start, he mentions Pareto's quote, "An idea is nothing more nor less than a new combination of old elements." What this really means is that there is nothing new under the sun. The real secret is that we as humans have to make links and connections that no one else has made in producing ideas that serve us. The 5 hacks that he mentions are: Hack 1, gathering raw material. Hack 2, digesting the material. Hack 3, unconscious processing. Hack 4, the aha moment. Hack 5, ideas meets reality. Now, before we can dive into the hacks, I'm Zurika from Living an Amazing Life. I live with my amazing partner, my loving mother, and trusted friends in Middle Earth, New Zealand. I run 2 online businesses from my cozy minimalist home that's surrounded by nature, and my aim is to connect with other peak performers. Every episode on Living an Amazing Life aims at breaking down ethical hacks used by world-class billionaires, entrepreneurs, scientists, doctors, Olympic athletes to reach their highest performance. The aim is together, you and I can make changes in our life so that we can constantly earn a high income, increase our net worth, look after our health while designing an amazing life. At the end of each lesson, we share an action plan that you could download from our blog www.livinganamazinglife.com and use it as a beautiful checklist or reminder of what we learned together in this episode. If you have not subscribed yet to our podcast, then please do so. Also, a small request. Please give us a star rating or a review, as it helps us get found by more people who are aiming to be high performers. It's really the best thing you could do to help out the show. To implement the hacks, we first need to understand Pareto's theory and the principles and methods that are the foundation of producing ideas. Step 1. Understanding the Pareto theory. Pareto has divided the world in 2 types of personalities when it comes to generation of ideas: the speculator and the rentier. So what's a speculator? A speculator is someone who is constantly preoccupied with the possibilities of new combinations. Pareto includes people such as business entrepreneurs, inventors, people who deal with financial and business outcomes. These people are constantly preoccupied to speculate how a specific solution can be reconstructed. So what's a rentier? A rentier is someone who loves routine. They are steady-going, unimaginative, conserving people. James mentions that both these personalities exist in the world, and he is not sure if these 2 personalities exist because people were born that way or whether the environment and training made them that way. So first, you have to come to terms and understand which kind of personality you are. Whether you are a speculator, the person who reconstructs ideas, or the rentier, the person who is more comfortable with routine and is unimaginative. Step 2. Training the mind. To train the mind, we must learn the core principles and then the methods to implement these principles. He demonstrates this example in the advertising world. He says that a person may know grammar, may understand pricing, may understand where to correctly add punctuation, but this does not necessarily mean that this person can write creatively. We may know all the techniques, but still not know how to be good in copywriting or advertising. The only reason for this is because we have not mastered the principles and the methods of how to use the information to generate ideas. On the other hand, he says billionaires usually have mastered the key principles and methods to generate an idea. They then go and employ technicians to help in producing the results for that idea. So with the art of producing ideas, what is most valuable to know is that it's not where to look for a particular idea, but in how we train the mind with the methods and principles we use to generate ideas. So how do you train the mind? He suggests that there are two underlying principles for the production of ideas. Principle 1. As Pareto mentioned, an idea is nothing more nor less than a new combination of old elements. What this means is that an idea is formed based on old past ideas that existed but are laid and presented as new combinations to bring old ideas back to life using current trends. An example for understanding this principle. In the past, people stayed in touch with each other through telegrams and postal letters. Today, the same idea to stay in touch is through social media, email, and apps like WhatsApp, mobile text messages. Now let's look at principle 2. The second principle is dependent on how we join the dots together to see the relationship of old to new. Most of us have trained our mind where we separate bits of knowledge and use this knowledge for a specific task. Billionaires, on the other hand, join the dots and they seek to see relationships between different topics or ideas. Example, Steve Jobs saw the relationship between calligraphy and technology and used these two bits of knowledge to jot down the dots and see the relationship to create something new. Sarah Blakely saw the relationship between fashion, women's desire to look their best when they dressed, the art of cold calling, and sales. Through some of these topics, she was able to join the dots to create Spanx that created garments to help women to wear under close-fitting dresses so that women could have a flawless figure. Today, she's a billionaire through using the techniques of producing ideas that serve a specific target audience. So for you and me to come up with ideas that are worthwhile and valuable, we have to understand the importance of Principle 1 and Principle 2. Now let's cover the hacks in detail. Hack 1. Gathering raw material. Here he suggests that you spend time in material gathering. The materials which must be gathered are of two kinds. They are specific and they are general. Most people will not do this. They will gather bits of information and then jump straight into execution mode. Instead, James Young mentions that good idea generators, people who have built billion-dollar ventures, work systematically gathering raw materials in the form of information from a variety of areas of life. They just go about gathering, reading, watching, etc. They just don't randomly sit around hoping for inspiration to strike. He gives an example of what he aims to describe as specific materials. In the advertising space, to truly create an impact, every entrepreneur must understand the product offering and who you propose to sell it to. Not every person who consumes a specific product is your target audience. At the surface level, we all know this, but very few of us have been able to master it. He gives an example of a soap company. At first, there appears nothing so special about what to say about soap, as most soaps are the same. But a specific soap company made a relationship from a study that was done on the subject of the skin, hair, and how soap reacts to our body. How some soaps may have harsh chemicals but may smell nice. They used the study to create various advertising ideas, which multiplied the sales of the soap company 10 times. In order for us to truly create and contribute value to our world, we have to be able to connect countless dots. We must take different ideas from different areas of life, combine and recombine these pieces, and build new offerings or services or products. Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, Martha Stewart, Sarah Blakely all did this. They searched and browsed for information and took that information and joined the dots to create relationships that existed in the past for a product and then offered the same idea in a new format for their audience. He also mentions that while gathering specific material, we must also have a process of gathering general materials. Things like general knowledge about a city, about culture, about lifestyle, about fashion, about technology, trends, economy, etc. Understanding this and building relationships of these areas create new combinations and new patterns. Imagine Lego blocks. The more different blocks and colors we have, the more we are able to use these blocks to create interesting prototypes or structures. If we only have a few colors or shapes, probably this would limit how much we can create, even within our own area of expertise. Einstein used to play the violin and has attributed some of his physics breakthroughs to his violin playing moments. He believed that while he played the violin, he was able to connect different parts of his brain in a new way. So to put hack 1, gathering raw material, into action, he gives a technique that was used by the famous detective Sherlock Holmes. He recommends that we learn the card index method. Here you get yourself a supply of little 3x5 ruled white cards and use them to write down the items of specific information as you gather them. If you do this, one item to a card, after a while, you'll begin to classify them by sections of your subject. Eventually, you will have a whole file of neatly classified information. Today, the same method can be in the form of an Excel sheet, a Word document, Evernote, Trello board cards, or even using the traditional card indexing. This way of analyzing data allows you to have order in your work, and it also highlights gaps that you have to research. It allows you to force your mind to go through the material while you write or type to come up with these ideas. Once we have mastered hack 1, which is to gather raw material, then the next hack is hack 2, digesting the material. In the second stage of the idea generation process, he mentions that we must understand the art of digesting the material, just like how our body digests the food we eat. Here, what we have to do is take different bits of material and play with this in our mind. Take one fact that you know and turn that around in your mind to look at that fact in different ways and try and make meaning of it. Then bring two facts together and see how this could fit together. What you're trying to do at this stage is to create relationships where everything will come together in a neat combination, just like putting a jigsaw puzzle together. He gives an illustration of the relationship between advertising and psychiatry. At first, most people will never see any relationship between these two fields. But if you look closely, psychiatrists have discovered the profound relationship and the power of how words play an important part in our lives. Words create emotions of how we feel. One specific word could create discomfort and hurt, while another could arouse happy emotions. Similarly, great advertising experts know that words are powerful and adding or removing words in an advertising copy could generate different kinds of emotions. What he mentions is that if our minds can quickly see relationships between different areas of life, then and only then can we create new applications and combinations of what currently exists, and those become new ideas. If we look closely, observe the patterns in the old days when there was no internet. School kids would create high school memories by creating scrapbooks. Newspapers had classified ads. CEOs used to receive booklets with researched articles. We had a physical dictionary. Today, the same ideas can be seen through platforms like social media. It's the new form of something old, just laid out differently. Today, instead of a physical scrapbook, families can share online their cherished moments. Businesses can advertise online to target audiences using Facebook ads, YouTube ads, Google AdWords. So it's important to understand the art of digesting the material that you see and quickly training your mind to build relationships between different kinds of information. To digest material, he mentions that strange things happen during this process. The facts that we collect could potentially give you many ideas, but he says to resist this stage and just digest the information. Don't try and find literal meaning. First, little or partial ideas will come to you once you read and gather information. Write and note these ideas down. Don't worry if the idea is fuzzy or incomplete, just trust the process. Then after some time, you will feel exhausted and tired trying to fit your puzzle of all this information. It could feel overwhelming. Here he suggests not to give up. Instead, give the mind rest so that the second wave of mental energy that our human mind possesses is triggered. Keep trying to get as many ideas on your document or card index. Then the third stage kicks in. Here you reach a stage of hopelessness, where your mind just gets jumbled with no clear insight. It's when you reach this point that the third stage or hack 3 gets triggered. Hack 3, unconscious processing. James mentions in the third stage, you have to drop the subject and put the problem out of your mind. Basically, you walk away. This stage is as important as the first two stages. The reason you stop thinking and let go is so that the conscious mind rests, while the unconscious mind takes over in the creative process. He shares how Sherlock Holmes would stop in the middle of a case and drag Watson off to a concert. Watson, who was a literal mind thinker, would find this process really irritating. But at the end, this third stage or hack 3 is what made Sherlock Holmes solve the case. James mentions that in the third stage of digesting material and dropping the problem completely, you turn to pleasant activities such as listening to music, watching movies, reading, meditation, or sleep so that you are rested. It's the same as how our digestive system operates. First, we gather food. Then we cook or prepare a meal. Then we eat. And then and only then does the digestive system kick in. James Young mentions that training the mind in this manner is the highest criteria in the production of ideas. He says every human being can build this habit if you only practice and study to develop this way of thinking, and it takes time. Hack 4, the aha moment. Once we are through with the first 3 hacks, which is Hack 1, gathering raw material, Hack 2, digesting the material, Hack 3, unconscious processing, then you will almost surely experience Hack 4, the aha moment. Here the idea will suddenly appear when you are least expecting it. It will happen maybe when you're driving, having a shower, in the middle of the night. This is the way ideas come after you have stopped the creative process and have passed through a period of rest and relaxation from the search. Isaac Newton's discovery of the law of gravitation happened while he was taking a walk in the country after he had implemented the 3 stages in the idea generation process, which is gathering information, building meaning and relationship with his findings, constantly trying to join the dots, and then letting go for his unconscious mind to process the information. Hack 5. Ideas meet reality. This is the final stage, which we have to pass through to complete the idea producing process. In this stage, you have to take your idea out into the world of reality. When the idea is exposed to the world, what you feel is the best idea will not seem the same to the world. Here you require patience, so you can make the idea fit the exact conditions. This takes time. He mentions it's at this stage most awesome ideas get lost, as people don't have the patience to keep making their idea fit the exact conditions of the market. But it has to be done. If you are to put ideas to work in the world, he encourages entrepreneurs to put the idea out there for criticism and judgments and not to feel discouraged. It's through these judgments that surprising things happen. Through these judgments and feedback, your idea and product offering will expand. So there you have it. I hope you take the time to follow this process in your own life through your entrepreneurial journey. To summarize what we have covered today, in the book, A Technique for Producing Ideas, I have created small reminder cards, which we call truth cards. They are beautifully crafted note cards that can be printed and kept on your desk as reminder cards. You can find them on my blog, www.livinganamazinglife.com. You can use these cards on your vision board or your notebook so that you remember each stage of the idea processing technique. So let's summarize the steps we covered today. Step 1. Pareto's principle. There are 2 kinds of personalities when it comes to idea generation. Those that are speculators, who can reconstruct new possible ideas from old ones, and then the rentier, those that like routine, are unimaginative and conservative. Step 2. To produce ideas, we have to train our mind and understand that there are 2 governing principles. Principle 1. An idea is nothing more nor less than a new combination of old elements. Principle 2. How we join the dots together to see the relationship of old to new makes all the difference. Step 3. Consider all the raw materials that are specific and general and document these in the form of notes that you can sort through. Step 4. Digest these materials by breaking the facts down into individual facts and then building a relationship and aiming to join the dots to form the relationship. Step 5. Even if you get vague, fuzzy ideas during the digestion of material process, list these ideas down. Step 6. When you feel puzzled and exhausted and overwhelmed, keep at it and don't give up, as the mind has still to process the information. Step 7. When you reach the stage of hopelessness, let go and put the problem out of your mind so that your unconscious mind can take over while you rest your conscious mind. Step 8. You will find your idea come to light when you least expect it. If the above steps have been implemented, then step 9, it's crucial to then expose your idea to the world and be ready for judgments and criticism. Be patient and work on the idea with all the feedback that is received so you can make it better. If you've enjoyed today's episode, then would you be kind enough to leave a review? We are on Apple, Spotify, Google Podcast, and other well-known podcast platforms. Also, please do share this piece of work with someone who can benefit from learning the techniques to producing ideas. If you find my work valuable, then do subscribe to our podcast either on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify. The podcast is called Living an Amazing Life. Just search for it as one word. We are also on YouTube. Again, the channel is called Living an Amazing Life. I hope you have enjoyed this episode and you create a life that enables you to design an amazing life. Thank you, and I look forward to spending time with you in our next episode. Don't forget to download the note cards, which you can call truth cards, so that you have reminders of all the steps you need to take to embrace the techniques of producing ideas that you can launch in this world. See you soon. Ciao for now. Take care.